Hey, GMV. Hey, Sophia. Hi, King of Portals. We'll wait for a few more people. Okay, we're wonder where everybody else is. Don't really want to start this without, like, King Devon or anything. We'll wait a little bit, like a few more minutes, see if more people get in for the finale stream. I'm fine. It's all right. Wait a few more minutes here, see if anybody drops in. I especially want them to for the finale stream, since this will be the last stream we're doing for the ones who live. This summer, Daryl Dixon Season 2. I was looking at the preview for Daryl Dixon Season 2. It came out after the episode. I'll pull it up for you. I'd explain it, but I think a full definition would be better. There you go. You wanted the answer. I just wanted to give you a more in-depth explanation. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, even though we got a small group for now. So, what were your guys' thoughts on the finale? I say it was pretty freaking awesome. What's up? No, I was just focusing. I've been in a good mood all day. Just in general, and because of this finale. What'd you think of Thorn dying? I don't want to say my thoughts before everybody else gives theirs. That's how it's always been, and that's how we're going to close it off. I was just trying to see if more people would get on for the finale stream. So, Sophia, did you say all of your thoughts on the episode? I know GMV, since you can't really say too much, honestly, because you're still on part of the original Walking Dead. Hmm? I'm not sad. I was just focusing. I'm anything but sad. Yeah, Beale. People keep saying that he was a wasted character. But I'll explain more whenever whoever else joins and whenever you guys say your thoughts. I don't know about that. died after that briefing, though. That was magic. Yeah, Rick finally became like a true combat professionist in the finale. It's like capsulating Rick's story. They finally made him freaking like OP to a level, even though he's lived for this long, so technically that already makes him OP. But yeah, I meant more like combat wise. King of Portals, what do you think of the finale? That's just another thing that him and GMV were saying in Discord. King of Portals, none of that happened. You're being really silly. Aren't you guys gonna be more freaking like happy and real about this? Is freaking encapsulated Rick and Michonne's story. Like, come on, let's get some feeling in here. Hey, the person. Nice to see you in the finale. I want to know what your thoughts are first, the person. I've always done other people's thoughts before my own. So I want to think of everything that you guys thought of the episode first, because whenever I start talking, it's going to take me a minute to stop. No, he's not. Mm-hmm. Same here, King of Portals. Same here. Should have had more episodes. Yeah, probably. But I'll get into that in a sec. I want to see if King Devon shows up and what else you guys thought about it. Yep. No, she's definitely like dead. Kinda me too, Sophia. But they weren't gonna kill Rick after bringing him back finally, because what would be the point of the spinoff if they just killed him? Just because the comics did it for the Commonwealth doesn't mean that the show's got to do it. They did so many ins and outs that from the show with the comics for actors and how they wanted to do the story. They ain't gonna do that to Rick Grimes, especially making him lose his hand this far from when he did against the governor in the frickin' comics. So that just goes to show you they weren't going to kill Rick, because we still got Daryl and Morgan, and I'll touch more about a bunch of the stuff in a minute. I don't want to get too in depth. Kill Carl though. That's because his actor wanted to quit. Same with Dale's. Same with a lot of actors. Glenn. It's sad, but you can't help life. If an actor wants to leave, an actor wants to leave. Yeah. I heard it was a mixed package. I heard that I swear he was one of the ones that quit too, because he wanted to move on to other things. Maybe that was just whenever Michonne's actor left then. I might have got the two confused. Abraham died in the comics a little earlier than the show. I think they just wanted to keep him in the show just for a little bit longer. I don't know the reason. Yeah. Like I said, you can't help life. I'd look into that GMV. I don't know the specifics on that answer. Anyone else want to add anything? I'll give it a second. Okay, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get in. Yeah, most likely I'm gonna get into that in a sec. There, the person. I'm gonna get into my thoughts. So, the episode, it was rushed, but they did good with what they had. And while General Beale, I felt was killed off earlier than he should have been, he's very comparable to Pope. They both died in almost the same amount of episodes, except you could argue that Beale has and did live longer, and he was honestly much more combat trained and better than Pope was. But they are both very comparable. And as for Thorne, she found out too little too late, like Rick and Michonne's true bond and everything. And Michonne saying love never dies, that was a perfect way for her to kill off Thorne. And I got that question answered. So, one of the things off of the list that I wanted to see, Pearl being Shane, or like a version of Shane for, wanting to be with Rick or just helping them. She ultimately just chose to, be herself and be freaking bad and try to kill Rick and Michonne. And then as for the CRM, they pretty much treated it like another season 11 situation with them blowing up the CRM. Except now they're actually using the CRM to help them get back to Alexandria and to other communities. So it's almost like the Commonwealth ending story, except a little bit better with the CRM, really. And as you can see in the picture behind you, Rick and Michonne finally got to reunite with their kids. Rick seeing Judith, who he hasn't seen, mind you, since she was a freaking toddler before the bridge. That was a definitely needed reunion right there. My thing keeps like glitching out. Like I keep glitching out in and out of existence. Okay, there we go. I think I'm fixed. And Rick getting to meet his third kid RJ for the first time, that was freaking amazing. And yeah, I think that I know that Rick didn't have a big reaction about him in the beginning, but that's only because his mind was still fragged from the CRM. But the reunion with the kids and everything, with Rick, Judith, and RJ specifically, is probably the best part and the highlight of either this spinoff and this episode as a whole. So out of everything, it was great. My opinion, and you guys can state your opinion on the entire spinoff now, because that was going to be my next question. What are your guys' thoughts on the Ones Who Live spinoff as a whole? My thoughts, personally, because I'm going to get into that myself, I loved it. Getting to see freaking Rick and Michonne get reunited and get back on the freaking big screen and everything. Well, not the literal big screen, but you guys get what I mean. And yeah, The Walking Dead pretty much expanding beyond the show, which it already did with Fear and the other spinoffs, but that's beside the point. My point is, it's just getting bigger. Oh, and another thing. We did see a lot of flashbacks, and we technically got the wish with Shane and having a flashback of him. Even if it was just one, there was a flashback of him. And him recalling his nastiest thing, Rick, biting Joe's throat out to General Beale, revealing that. I honestly agree with that. There really wasn't any other moment besides maybe killing Gareth with a machete, which wasn't even shown. That was probably, and I bet a lot of you can agree, that was Rick's finite moment. And I would not blame anyone for thinking that. I think that. I'm just surprised that he still remembers all that. But who could forget biting a freaking dude's throat out? Because that's pretty sick. Not gonna lie. When I watched The Walking Dead at first and saw that moment, I was like, golly. What else? Jadis and her character finally getting wrapped up, and Pearls. I thought that both of them were going to team up. I didn't expect them to get killed off separately, like in their own little way. They didn't even interact once. I don't even think one like mentioned the other. But they did good by them. And General Beale, like I said, he was kind of like better than Pope, but he was still unique enough of a villain that even if they killed him off in the end, it was in a very epic way. With the bombing and him. The death of Beale could have been a little better, but yeah, overall. Oh, hey, King Devin. Welcome to the finale stream. What were your thoughts on the episode and the entire spinoff? But yeah, I think I pretty much said all I need to say. I did this on purpose, King Devin, because Rick reuniting with his kids, especially Judith and RJ, it's probably the most best part of the spinoff, besides Jadis' character finally getting dealt with, Rick and Michonne reuniting, and yeah, this moment. It encapsulates the spinoff perfectly. And I'm actually going to get rid of the freaking list that I made specifically for the ones who live. Hi, Mick. Wait, what? Oh, no. Yeah, that was pretty freaking sick. Oh, my God. Not in my good mood here, Lemmy boy. Anyway, wait. I really appreciated the flashbacks. So King Devin, speaking of that Shane one, let me go to the list. Maybe Shane flashbacks. We all thought that there would be Shane flashbacks, and even if we just got one, that was still great. That, like, he remembered that as one of the worst things that he ever did. Because it was one of the worst things he ever did. He killed his best friend, but to be fair, Rick never did it. Rick's actions have always been pretty much justifiable. Let's be for frickin' real here. Shane and the Claimers and the Terminus people, they dug their own graves, suffice it to say. So it's not like Rick ever did anything because he absolutely, he was never the bad guy in any given situation. People just made him out to be the bad guy. We pretty much saw everything of Rick and Michonne, and I think they did that on purpose. I think they did that on purpose with all the Rick and Michonne flashbacks because, they were trying to pretty much end Rick and Michonne's story if this photo behind me doesn't prove it. I get what you're saying, King Devin, but to be fair, he'd already lost Glenn and them by that point. He was too broken enough to care. And he did try with Daryl to spare even Morales and them, but Daryl and them didn't care. So eventually Rick got to a point he didn't care. Yeah, there really isn't a need for a season 2. They did everything perfectly. There's no way that you could make a season 2 after this. The CRM is destroyed, and Rick and Michonne took over. And now all we have left, it seems, is the Daryl and Carol and then the Maggie and Negan spinoff, and then we don't know where The Walking Dead goes from there, but I'm going to get to that in a second. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on, like, the entire spinoff. What did you guys think of the 6-episode special? I think season 8 made Rick come back more from being a brute because he spared Negan's life. And look how that turned out. Now Maggie's the only one who hates him. And even she's beginning to come around on the fact that Negan's changed. I mean, season 11, we kind of thought that's how she would be after she talked about him with Glenn, but then Herschel gets kidnapped and that all plummets downhill. It's like Maggie has two sides of herself, and like the minute that something happens, flip, freaking that bulb in her head just freaking goes off. And it's like, to be fair, Herschel's the only family that Maggie really has left, because she doesn't have Glenn, she doesn't have any of her old family, Beth, Herschel, Jimmy, no one. The 6 episodes were way better than the other 2. You mean the other 2 spinoffs? Most definitely. Because it's freaking Rick and Michonne. How could they not be? Rick carried The Walking Dead. If there's any other spinoff that could be better or anything than another version of the show or whatever, it would be this one. And I never said that about anything like Dragon Ball or anything like that. But yeah, this makes me really glad that I got The Walking Dead. Sophia, I think we can all agree to that. Roger said, "Are you the brave man?" Think about it. We could combine all the spinoffs into one big season 12 of The Walking Dead. Yeah. Which I'll get on in a second, because I got a lot more I want to talk about. Call back to season 3 with the cat sculpture in Jadis's room. Wasn't that at the dump? Wouldn't that be a season 8 callback? I'm pretty sure she made that back at the dump. I mean, when Carl and Michonne found that cat sculpture. I do not remember that. All I remember is them going to Atlanta and finding the freaking crib and the picture of Lori. But I don't remember a cat sculpture. I'll look it up. Carl and Michonne find cat sculpture. Oh! Would you look at that? I forgot about that little side note. It's not that I didn't believe you. It's just I thought that was originally something small, stupid that Michonne like showed for some dumb reason. Yeah, I got it now. I remember now. And then we see the sculpture at the dump. I feel like it was the same thing, but not the same thing. Because Jadis had something very similar. Somehow I doubt it. I would certainly hope so. Especially ones like Everyone that we saw in the season finale of the original Walking Dead that Rick was remembering when he said, "I think of the dead all the time." Um, yeah, I definitely think he does remember all these lost. It was only the CRM's influence that began to make him forget. Turned him into a freaking mind-controlled soldier. No other group did that to Rick. Negan came close, but the CRM came way closer. Of course, he would remember Sophia. He felt responsible that he failed her in leaving her out there by herself. And then he's the one who had to walk herself down after they looked forever and she was in the barn. Sophia is probably there wasn't enough flashbacks of her in this spinoff, I feel. Like whenever they showed that little girl and everything and Rick going to save her in the first episode, I feel like they should have put a flashback of Sophia there. That would actually have made sense. Maybe Rick actually thought of her in that moment and they just didn't show it. But I think that was just him more or less just saving her out of the goodness of his heart, because it's officer friendly. Let's be real here. He could still be going by that title. Yeah. So I enjoyed the spinoff. Don't get me wrong. It was all good to see them reunite, Rick and Michonne. We got justification on Jadis, Shane flashbacks. We got sick moments. Rick got a cool prosthetic, which I feel was destroyed at the end because we don't see it on him again after the grenade and the bombing goes off. So I think his prosthetic was destroyed. And we got to see them reunite with their children, but there's still a few minor little problems that we have not seen and didn't see that kind of annoy me. Very big. First one, not so much, but still kind of annoying. Number one, Heath. We didn't get anything on him, especially when Beale was talking about test subjects. I swear they should have included some kind of like form of Heath, either with him on the lines or as a test subject. We saw nothing of Heath, which confirms to me at this point that he's dead. He has to be. And the big one here, we didn't see Morgan freaking Jones. We didn't see him. And that really, really annoys me. Because why would you go through the trouble of getting Morgan out of Fear the Walking Dead specifically to go find Rick with Mo and everything else, and then not have them reunite? Even at the end of the spinoff, they could have included him. Like maybe Rick's reuniting with his children, with Michonne or whatever, and then Morgan like steps out in some dramatic fashion or something. Or even better, Morgan saves them and they escape the CRM that way. That would have made things so much cooler, and yet we get nothing. We don't see... Yeah, they included Father Gabriel, but the only reason that they did that was to mourn the loss of Jadis and to finally give closure on her death. Because you couldn't have included Jadis, now that I think about it, without Gabriel. If Jadis had not been given a second chance and didn't get with Gabriel, or they didn't have those kinds of interactions, you could have just killed her, honestly. She was very much nothing. I'm very surprised she made it through 2 spin-offs. 2 seasons, actually 3 seasons of the original Walking Dead show, and then 2 whole spin-offs. And then I really thought that they should have at least given Father Gabriel more. If they weren't going to bring Morgan back or anything, or get a Daryl or Heath cameo, you should have just let Father Gabriel, become part of the official story, rather than flashbacks with him and Jadis. And then one small nod, to the moment where Jadis died and Gabriel's just sitting there alone. And that's another thing. Carol, yeah, we now know that the reason that she's going to get Daryl in the second season of the spinoff is because Rick is back at Alexandria, which confirms to me that Morgan is still going to come back because he said whether you're at Alexandria or not. So it makes me mad that he wasn't in The Ones Who Live. But considering that they're pretty much going to Alexandria now, Rick, Michonne, and Judith and RJ, or the Commonwealth, or whatever, we're either going to see Morgan pop up in Daryl and Carol season 2, or somehow, someway, Dead City. I think Dead City overall might be the closure. Because let's be honest, what would they do with a season 3 of Daryl? Let's be real here. Season 2 should be Carol finding Daryl and then them heading home after Carol tells Daryl about Rick and Michonne being back. That should get them to go, unless somehow, some way, France makes them want to stay there more than be with Rick and Michonne, who they haven't seen in forever, but I highly doubt that. Come on, it's Rick and Michonne. As for Dead City, I don't know. I really don't know. Because we still have a lot of loose ends and reunions to tie up. Which, it brings me to the final question to slowly but surely end off the finale stream here. What do you guys think is the future for The Walking Dead? You guys think that they're going to go ahead and end The Walking Dead after the spinoffs? Dead City and Daryl Dixon season 2s, that's it. The Walking Dead's over. Because the 500-year plan that the CRM envisioned, and that 14 years the humans had left, Rick and them are now part of the CRM. And I don't know. I really think that it could go a few ways. Number one, they integrate the Fear characters, who we still haven't seen, and capsulate it into Daryl and Carol season 2 and Dead City season 2, and they capsulate it with all that, and then end it with either Dead City or Daryl. Or number 2, they make all the spin-offs, maybe one giant... Now that I think about it, Fear the Walking Dead World Beyond, to include that many spin-offs into a huge season 12 or 13, that would be kind of ridiculous now that I think about it. I never thought about that until now. So what I'm thinking is they're either going to end it with Daryl and Carol season 2 and Dead City season 2, or after the spin-offs are over, they're either going to make a completely new spin-off, or they're going to make a season 12. But it could literally go any way. I don't think we'll know what will truly happen to the Walking Dead franchise until near the end of this year, pretty much. Maybe going into 2025. But yeah, that's that's pretty much the wrap up of like Walking Dead in a nutshell. Honestly, me too. The show writers said that it could go on like forever, but you know what's funny? Everyone's like, oh, the ones who live, it needs a season two. It needs a season two. Oh, it's gonna get one. And now we know it's not going to, because how are you going to make a season two after this great moment right here? Even if it doesn't have Morgan or Heath or anything, they reunited with their kids. What more story could you tell there? Like I said, they either got to end it off with the two spinoffs, make a new spinoff or a new season. But hey, I'm not the writers or showrunners, so I cannot tell you what's going to happen. All we can do for now is just speculate. A crossover show? Well, they've already kind of done that. They've referenced Fear many times in The Ones Who Live and the original, and they've referenced Morgan going over to Fear and Dwight going over to Fear with Sherry. So The Walking Dead has collabed into crossovers, but a giant crossover, I cannot tell you what would happen. I mean, I technically can because I made What If Madison's Family Joined Rick, but that's beside the point. A Heath spinoff. If they didn't show Heath for The Ones Who Live, I don't think they're going to ever. At this point, I legit think he's dead. Be kind of a crappy Tales of the Walking Dead, if you ask me. They could do so much more with other characters. Like originals. They are originals, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking like really good originals. We already got an episode on the Claimers with Rick's red machete. I don't know if you guys seen or heard of that, but it actually shows a little bit of the backstory of the Claimers. I think you just have to type in Rick's machete or like red machete or something like that. It's like a little short or something. Yeah. And now we got Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, now that it's called. Season 2 coming out this summer. We don't know when. I think they're not going to announce Dead Cities Season 2 until like before the Daryl Season 2 starts to premiere. because that's what they did just now, The Ones Who Live. They didn't show the true release date for Daryl season 2 until tonight. So, hey, whatever freaking happens, happens. I just think there's a lot of loose ends in story that they got to cover. And if they plan to end it with the spin-offs and don't plan to like go with the franchise further, be a little disappointing, especially with like reunions and stuff that they haven't done yet and story arcs that they haven't finished. But I think that they'll do good overall, whether they make more after the 2 spin-offs or not. We don't know. But yeah, that pretty much ends off The Ones Who Live streams. You know, the funny thing is, not only did I get this laptop for the spin-offs specifically, along with better YouTube production, it's just funny that it's already been over a month since that all happened, and we're already at the end of The Ones Who Live. Time freaking flies. I don't think I'm going to be doing streams for Daryl Dixon or Dead City. I think I more or less am just going to make comments about them, like I did with Fear and its ending. I couldn't honestly tell you that. I think the only death that he would really feel ashamed about is Shane, because of him wanting him to like change and everything and him forcing him to do that. Shane's is probably the only death that Rick actually feels sorry for. But yeah, once again, Rick, Michonne, Judith, and RJ, the ending is still freaking fantastic. Even though Morgan and everything, even though they could have done more, they still did awesome. Everyone's death had way more impact than Lori. We didn't even get to see Lori's death or anything like that in any kind of flashback. Judith is the only remnant of Lori that's left because she's technically not even Rick's kid. She's Shane and Lori's kid. So Rick and Michonne sort of just, you know, they more or less just took the parent role. Which is fine. I don't mind Rick and Michonne being parents of Judith and RJ and Cara, or that whole family tree. Yeah. Officer Friendly has gone through some crap. But I think that's pretty much all. We covered the series, we covered the future of The Walking Dead, the finale, And with that, that's all of the ones who live. So now we're going back to usual criteria of the regular uploads and the Q&As. This was more or less just an add-on to talk about the ones who live, since it's a new show. It's awesome. It has Rick and Michonne, and because why the frick not? But we finally come to an end. But you guys can always check out the ones who live streams. I made them into a playlist at the start when we started the whole thing, just like the Q&As and everything. And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna get out of here since it's late. Made this after stream way longer than I thought I would, but it was nice. I really enjoyed the talk and the finale. And yeah, overall, picture should say it all. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for the semi-final part to Dale's story. The finale will be Wednesday, and the start of the Merle replacing Daryl story will be Friday, and then Q&A and regular criteria will go on past that. So I'll see you guys later.